Even though I do have quite a few issues with it, Super Mario Sunshine still remains one of my favorite games in the main Mario series, and one of the reasons is because the more unique take on the story. Instead of going straight into Bowser kidnaps Princess Peach for the 200 billionth time, go save her! The game decides to instead introduce us to Shadow Mario, a dark doppelganger of our plump little plumber who has framed Mario for the polluting of Isle Delfino and the loss of the island's shine sprites. Granted, this plan only worked because the Piantas were absolute idiots, but that's beside the point. However, at one point in the game, Shadow Mario does kidnap Peach and takes her to my personal favorite level in the game, Peanut Park, which is where one of the most awesome concepts for a boss fight comes to light.
It's Moses!
I'm sorry, but this is easily the greatest idea I have ever seen for a boss battle. You are fighting a Bowser mech while riding a roller coaster. Wait, hold on. Let me say that a little louder so you can fully understand the beauty of this. You are fighting a Bowser mech while riding a roller coaster. I dare you to say that you don't get excited just hearing that concept. Though I have a feeling a bunch of you in the comments will do that just to taunt me. However, there's more to the Mecha Bowser fight being this awesome than just the concept. In this battle, Mecha Bowser will assault you with bullet bills from both in front and behind you, and when riding past his head, he'll try to scorch you with his flamethrower breath. What you need to do is pick up rockets from on the roller coaster track and shoot them at Mecha Bowser's body to damage him. The sheer intensity of this fight puts it this high on the list, alongside the concept and the amount of entertainment you earn from pummeling Mecha Bowser with rockets. Oh, and I forgot to mention that after this fight, the big reveal of Shadow Mario's identity occurs, which also happens to be the scene in which one of the most hated Mario characters is introduced. Note, I don't actually hate Bowser Jr. In fact, I quite like using him in the Mario spin-offs, and he's one of my mains in Super Smash Bros. 4. I'm solely noting the fact that most Mario fans don't like Bowser Jr. Why do people still complain about how Bowser Jr. made the Koopa Leagues irrelevant if they still appear a lot in the series as well being the alternatives to Bowser Jr. Smash 4? But now I'm just rambling. Let's move on to the next segment, shall we? Remember that time when Kid Icarus Uprising was considered the absolute best game on the 3DS? Well, we can easily say that those days are over. I mean, yeah, Kid Icarus was and still is a great game, but it's easily not as good as we saw it to be initially. And one of the parts where I feel like Uprising falls flat on its face is the boss battles. I always found the bosses to be admittedly boring and follow the same pattern. Stand from a distance and then just shoot like there's no tomorrow. There are a few good exceptions for this trope, like Dark Pit, Medusa, and number 7 on this list, the Chariot Master. While pretty much all the bosses follow the same pattern, the Chariot Master most definitely does not follow said pattern. In this fight, you're in a high-speed chariot race with the Chariot Master, which alone makes it that much more fun than the other bosses. But then there's the Chariot Master himself. As he explains during the battle, the Chariot Master has lost pretty much everything he cared for, and all that he has left that he loves are his 2 steeds, whom you're competing for so you can use the Lightning Chariot. It's this backstory that, while the fight is fun, makes being the Chariot Master kind of terrible, as he dies after this battle is over. The battle against the Chariot Master still stands out as one of the most unique bosses in Uprising, and a truly fun one at that, albeit not that satisfying to finish. It's been some time since I last talked about Crash Bandicoot Warped. While it's not my favorite game anymore, it still stands as my favorite 3D platformer. And one of the things I can still praise about this game is how I like every single boss in the game. And if you've been a long-time follower of my work, then you know which boss I'm picking.
Now you're on my time, you little skunk! Give me the crystals!
Yeah, I know, I've talked about the N-Troopy fight on multiple occasions prior to this list, so this segment might seem rather repetitive. But hey, it's been a while, so maybe it'll be a nice refresher. For starters, N-Troopy was a boss that had been built up since the beginning of the game, as he was the mastermind behind the creation of the time machine you're actually using to go through the game. So the atmosphere of this fight has been set. And then there's the actual fight. In this battle, N-Troopy will use 2 attacks, a burning energy ball and a ray of energy. In each part of the fight, the speed and pattern of these attacks will change, meaning you'll have to change your strategy each time. But what makes this fight so interesting is the setting. It starts in a factory-like level, but after each hit you land on N-Troopy, he uses his time powers to change the setting to a different time period, including Oriental China and a Persian palace. However, while the battle is fun and it's satisfying to beat the Master of Time, it seems that our heroes overlooked one issue. N-Troopy's the one controlling the time machine, so without him maintaining it, it's likely that the time machine will go out of control, as emphasized by Uka Uka and Dr. Cortex after the boss's conclusion. Overall, the entropy fight may be simple, but its fun factor and sense of satisfaction makes up for it in spades. Let's flash back all the way to my first countdown, Top 10 Worst Video Game Villains, a choice that I think I'll regret in a few seconds. On that list, I placed King Dedede of the Kirby series at the number 8 spot, and while I admit that wasn't the greatest choice as he's more of an anti-hero at this point, I can still safely say that I don't really care for King Dedede all that much, especially his boss fights. However, an exception arose recently in the form of Kirby Triple Deluxe. In Triple Deluxe, a mysterious spider-like creature named Taranza kidnaps the King of Dreamland and takes him up the Dreamstalk, with Kirby following close behind the whole time. Once Kirby confronts Taranza at the end of Royal Road, Taranza explains how he believes King Dedede to be the legendary hero of Planet Popstar, and how his queen wishes for the hero to be exterminated so her plans on conquering Popstar cannot be foiled. Upon this reveal, Taranza brainwashes King Dedede and transforms him into his ever-so-familiar form of Masked Dedede, and this is where the battle begins. The battle against Masked Dedede is a two-phase battle of epic proportions. In the first phase, Masked Dedede uses several of King Dedede's familiar attacks, including his inhaling ability, his ground pound, swings from his hammer, and what have you. All you have to do is wail away at him while his defenses are down until his health reaches 0 and it's over. The music that plays during this phase, entitled Revenge of the Enemy, is also a nice theme to play during the battle. But this does beg the question of why the standard Masked Dedede theme wasn't used. Well, this is where phase 2 kicks in. Now you know things have gotten serious. Buffed up on Taranza's magic, Masked Dedede goes on the ultimate revenge scheme as he replaces his hammer with a giant battle axe. Now Masked Dedede can use a powerful spin attack with his axe, a dive, launch energy spheres from his axe, and create a tornado. Depending on which copy ability you brought, this fight can end relatively quickly, but it is ever so satisfying to take down this king. Not to mention, the remix of Masked Dedede's theme in this battle is amazing. Now, if only future battles with King Dedede could be this good. Sin and Punishment Star Successor is one of those games that starts off insane and just gets insaner as the game goes on. What's that? You say insaner is not a word and that makes no sense? Well, you want to know what else doesn't make sense? Armand Ritter. As the main boss of Stage 2, Armand Ritter is a prime example of how crazy this game can get. In the first part of the battle, Armand Ritter fires dark energy spheres at you while flying over the open ocean. After a few seconds, however, the level of insanity cranks to freaking 11.
Try this on for size.
How do you even? Armand Ritter just transformed into what looks like the Shadow Devil's pet Stingray, and now can attack you with spheres of slime, missiles, bullet fire, and shocks of electricity. Once you bring his health bar down, he splits into a bunch of slime balls which you now have to destroy, but it's guaranteed that you won't in time. He then transforms into a giant seahorse who can now attack you with tons of lasers, black holes, water geysers, and bombs that bounce off the water. After you bring his health down again, you get to destroy the slime balls again, which is then followed by his next phase, a herd of dolphins. Logic, what's that? During this phase, the dolphins will shoot bullets at you and send off energy rings that you have to fly in the middle of, bounce around an exploding beach ball, and finally attack you head-on until you can lower their health and destroy the remaining slime balls. What makes this battle so great is the amount of absolute insanity present in it, combined with its levels of entertainment and excitement. It's easily one of the most standout bosses in the last generation of gaming, and it's so satisfying to take down that shape-shifting creep. Though on a side note, am I the only one who's strangely fascinated by Armand Ritter's voice?
I can't very well return to command empty-handed. Come now. Allow me to show you the true meaning of pain.
The Final Fantasy series has a lot of standout boss battles, and to be quite honest, many of them could have made this list. However, to find our number 3 rep, we'll have to dive back into the Final Fantasy game I talked about most recently in my collab with the Kitsune Hawk, that being Final Fantasy IX. And coincidentally enough, this boss fight has a lot to do with the Final Fantasy IX candidate on our collab, that being Vivi Ornstein. After the party steals a cargo ship heading off to the Kingdom of Alexandria, Vivi discovers of the Black Mage dolls on the ship and begins to question his own existence. And soon after, the ship is attacked by an advanced Black Mage doll known as a Black Waltz. Now Zidane and his friends had fought 2 other Black Waltzes prior to this part, but the 3rd Black Waltz is easily the most powerful of them all and overall has the best boss fight. After the Black Waltz destroys all the Black Mage dolls trying to defend Vivi, Vivi retaliates in a burst of absolute rage, activating his trance mode for the first time and triggering the battle. In this battle, the Black Waltz primarily uses lightning magic, especially the powerful Thundara spell, but he can also use Fyra and Blizara. Also, at times, he flies up into the air, making him immune to regular attacks. Your best bet in this fight is to use Vivi's trance ability of dual casting to your advantage while you can, and also using Steiner's sword magic as much as possible. It's a really fun fight, and if that wasn't enough, Vivi showing off his true potential in this battle helps make it such a memorable fight for me. Not to mention, it's followed up by probably the best AMV in all of the game. Take him down, Vivi! When it comes to emotional boss battles, Sonic the Hedgehog is not the first franchise you think of. Because of the more one-dimensional cast of the series, having a tragic boss fight isn't all that common. However, there are exceptions, namely the duel between E102 Gamma and E101 Beta, now remodeled into the form of Beta Mark II, at the end of Sonic Adventure. With his upgrades from Dr. Eggman, Beta Mark II has extreme reaction time and can easily dodge or counter any of your shots. He can also fire an armada of lock-on missiles and can also teleport into the foreground and shoot nuclear explosions. What you need to do is wait for him to use his supersonic punch, in which his guard goes down, and you have a chance to hit him. While this fight is incredibly fun and easily the best boss fight in Sonic Adventure, what gets this battle so high on the list is the overall atmosphere and scenario at hand. Gamma had fought Beta at the beginning of the game, and with Gamma's heel turn, he's been forced to kill his fellow E100 robots, which leads up to the final confrontation between the 2 mechanical brothers. This also leads to the tragic conclusion of Gamma's story. After this battle, Beta shoots Gamma in his final moment before exploding and revealing a Flicky. Gamma connects the dots and realizes that he was made from a Flicky as well, and thus he succumbs to his damages and blows up, allowing the 3 Flickies to reunite. Rest in peace, Gamma. You died for the birds. Well, we've gone through some epic boss battles already on this list, including fights that are emotional, have some incredible atmosphere, are a great test of your skills, and overall are fun moments within their respective games. But now, we find ourselves at number 1, and to find my favorite normal boss battle, we need to pay a visit to the Mega Man X series. Believe me when I say, there were a lot of good choices for a Mega Man X boss to be on this list, and it was definitely a tough choice to pick my favorites. However, I finally made my decision, and this boss can be found within my favorite X game, Mega Man X4. The plot of Mega Man X4 focuses on a conflict between the Maverick Hunters and a freedom-fighting organization known as Repliforce, which had been recently labeled as Mavericks thanks to the questionable actions of the General, who, spoiler alert, was being influenced by the bald-headed jerk himself, Sigma. During the first level in the game, in which Repliforce shuts down the Sky Lagoon and has it crashing towards a human settlement, the Maverick Hunter Zero saves Iris, the younger sister of Repliforce's Colonel, and Zero's love interest, who returns to the Hunter base with Zero. Later in the game, Zero confronts Colonel in a sword duel, but the two are stopped by Iris, begging the two to not kill each other. While Zero tries his hardest to keep Iris' wish alive, he crosses blades with the Colonel again at the spaceport leading towards the final weapon, a space colony armed with a powerful weapon capable of destroying the Earth. However, this time, Iris isn't able to stop the fight, and the Colonel is slain by Zero. With her heart broken and her sanity weakening, Iris transports herself to the final weapon with the remainder of her brother's life force and confronts Zero, wishing to avenge her brother's death. Unfortunately, this means one thing to the player. We have to kill Iris.
Forgive me, Zero!
While the idea of having to kill Iris is terrible even to think about, at least the battle against her is fantastic. As the battle starts, you cannot damage Iris in her battle armor, as every time you hit her, it will simply spawn lock-on bombs from her armor. However, you have to attack her armor while avoiding the bombs in order to release the crystal from her body. It's this crystal that will cause damage to her, and you have to attack the crystal while avoiding Iris' bombs and the laser attack created from her cannon and the crystal. This battle is a true test of your skills of dashing and getting hits in quickly, and can quickly become absolute bomb chaos if you're not prepared. That being said, this battle plays out amazingly, but you definitely don't get a feeling of satisfaction for fighting Iris. And what happens after the battle is absolute legend. In Iris's last moments, she confesses her love to Zero and tells him of how she wished to live with him in a world where the conflict between humans and Reploids is not an issue. And upon that note, she dies in Zero's arms, leading to one of the most infamous moments in video game history.
Ah! No, this isn't happening! There's no reason for me to go on. What? What am I fighting for?
I will admit, I laughed at Zero's horrible dubbing, but at the same time, I was saddened by the loss of Zero's one true love at his own hands. In conclusion, the battle against Iris provides everything I love in a boss battle. It's challenging, it's fun, it's a great test of your skills, but it's also a tragic and emotional battle with a truly saddening conclusion. I'm the One-Winged Angel, and why did we have to kill Iris?